Jack was a dreamer with a fire in his soul, but his life was bound by a routine so rigid it felt like a well-worn pair of shoes, comfortable yet restrictive. He worked in a grey cubicle and attended endless meetings. Outside his office window, he could see the sun setting each evening, painting the sky with colors he barely noticed anymore. Jack's days faded into one another, a blur of endless tasks, while his nights buzzed with restless energy. As the city lights flickered outside his window, he lay awake, staring at the cracks in his ceiling. A persistent longing weighed on him, elusive yet impossible to ignore. His mind drifted to the stories he had imagined, vivid characters and intricate worlds he spun in his head yet never put to paper. It felt like a dam held back his ideas, each day adding more pressure, threatening to burst and drown him in unfulfilled dreams. Jack envisioned writing a book, a story that would inspire people, challenge them, and leave a legacy. Yet, every time he thought about it, the voices in his head grew louder. "You are too busy," they said. "What if it's no good? What if no one reads it?" So Jack's pen remained capped, his stories trapped in the pages of his mind. One day, something happened that shattered Jack's comfortable monotony. He got a call. His childhood friend Elena had passed away unexpectedly. Elena had always been vibrant, full of dreams she never stopped chasing. She had plans to start a non-profit, to travel the world, to write her own book, but now her dreams were frozen in time, unfulfilled. Jack could still hear Elena's laughter, a sound that seemed to echo in his memory with a cruel clarity. He recalled the summer they spent exploring the woods near their hometown. Elena always urged him to leap farther, climb higher, and laugh louder, saying, "Safe isn't where the stories are, Jack." She had a way of making the world feel alive, electric, and now she was gone. It felt as though a light had gone out in the universe. But as Jack sat there, lost in the memory, a new thought began to emerge, one that Elena herself would have spoken aloud. "What are you waiting for?" Her voice pierced the fog of his sorrow, daring him to take the leap and step beyond the shadows of hesitation. That challenge became his turning point the moment he chose to act. Jack sat in the dim light of his living room that night, staring at an old photograph of the two of them. Tears welled up in his eyes, but behind the grief was a flicker of realization. Life was fragile, fleeting. How much longer would he keep waiting? How much longer could he afford to let fear and comfort dictate his days? That night, Jack did something he hadn't done in years. He pulled out an old notebook, its cover worn but its pages blank, full of potential. His hand trembled as he wrote the first line. It wasn't perfect, far from it, but it was real. It was a start. The ink smudged as his hand shook, and he frowned at the uneven letters. "It's not good enough," he thought. But then another voice, quieter but stronger, whispered back, "It's better than a blank page." The following weeks were a rush of late nights and early mornings. Jack's alarm clock became his sternest ally, waking him up before the city stirred. He wrote before work, during lunch breaks, and long into the evening. There were moments when doubt crept in, whispering that he was wasting his time. But then he would think of Elena, of her laughter and her dreams, and he'd press on. Jack's path was far from smooth. His hands ached from typing. His eyes burned from lack of sleep. Rejection emails from publishers piled up, each one stinging like a paper cut to the soul. But with every setback, Jack grew stronger. He learned to find beauty in the effort, to see failure as a teacher, not an adversary. Some nights, the weight of it all felt unbearable. The walls of his small apartment seemed to close in, the hum of the city outside mocking his solitude. But then, he'd glance at the notebook on his desk, his pages filling up, and he'd feel a spark of hope. Progress, no matter how small, was his anchor. He remembered Elena's words one evening when he was on the brink of giving up. "The world is too big for small dreams, Jack. Don't let fear shrink you." Those words became his mantra, propelling him through moments of doubt. Months later, Jack's book was finally published. It wasn't an overnight success. There were no fireworks, no instant fame. But slowly, word began to spread. Emails trickled in from readers who said his story had touched them, inspired them, even changed their lives. Jack realized that the true reward wasn't in the sales or the recognition. It was in finding his voice, conquering his fears, and creating something that mattered. The first email he received was from a young man who had been on the verge of giving up his own dreams. He wrote, "Your book inspired me and reminded me why I started. Thank you very much." Jack read his words over and over, tears filling his eyes. For the first time, he felt the weight of his efforts lift, replaced by a profound sense of purpose. He began keeping a journal of every piece of feedback he received, reading them on the days when doubt still whispered in his ear. Those words became a reflection of the power of vulnerability and persistence. Jack's story isn't unique. Reflecting on his journey, he realized a universal truth. Growth demands courage, and challenges unite us all. His readers' words revealed how deeply his experiences resonated with others. It's the story of Sarah, who left her corporate job to start a bakery. And it could be your story too, if you dare to begin. Jack understood now that the struggles endured were not barriers, but rites of passage. Tests meant to shape him just as they shape everyone who dares to grow and transform. In her tiny kitchen, Sarah perfected her recipes, the air shifting between comforting aromas and the sharp sting of burnt failures. On days when doubt crept in, she questioned if her efforts would ever pay off. But her first customer, a young boy with his mother, changed everything. His smile as he bit into her loaf ignited a spark in Sarah, proving that her struggle was worth it. Her bakery became a community haven, where neighbors shared stories over fresh bread, each loaf a symbol of the rewards of taking risks and embracing uncertainty. The truth is, greatness lies on the other side of discomfort. Comfort offers safety but stagnates growth, keeping your potential locked away. To grow, you must step beyond the familiar, risking failure, and embrace the unpredictable journey of transformation. Philosophers and thinkers throughout history have understood this. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort, sleeping on hard floors and fasting to remind themselves of life's hardships. They believed that by embracing discomfort, they could build resilience and find gratitude in life's trials. Jack often thought about the Stoics during his journey. Their wisdom resonated as he faced his fears. If they could endure the cold stone floors of ancient Rome, he thought, surely I can push through a few sleepless nights and obstacles. Modern thinkers echo this wisdom. Brené Brown says, you can choose courage or you can choose comfort, but you cannot choose both. And isn't that the essence of life? To choose courage, to dare greatly, to step beyond the limits of what you think you can do? So here's my challenge to you. Get uncomfortable. Think about the dream you have been putting off, the goal that scares you. What's one step you can take today to make it real? It doesn't have to be big. Just start. Write the first page, make that call, or take that lesson. Do it now. Because one day, like Jack, you will look back and realize that the discomfort was worth it. The sleepless nights, the rejections, the self-doubt, they were all part of the journey. And in the end, you'll see that the only real failure was never starting. At Smart Money Vids, we believe in the power of action. Check the links in the description for tools and resources to start your journey today. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights and real-world advice. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.